through time, those like you who have been working on raising your vibration or living more happily ever after, you've been saying things like, I want to let go and let God. And we say, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about understanding that well-being is. Understanding that well-being is the order of the day. And understanding once and for all that you don't have to struggle for your well-being or earn your well-being or convince somebody that you should have your well-being. You just have to softly, lightly, in a relaxed way, let the well-being that is yours to have in. And the wonderful thing about being a deliberate creator in this leading edge environment is you get to specifically choose through the power of your thought in what ways the well-being manifests. You get to choose it all. It is a delicious creative environment, and we are happy to participate with you in this forum to assist you into coming more into conscious, deliberate control of your own physical experience. Well-being is the order of all things. There is only a source of well-being which you, through your physical format and what you've learned along your physical trail, may be letting in and maybe not. And to the degree that you are thriving, you are letting it in, and to the degree that you are not, you are not. But well-being is all that is offered. And there is nothing that asserts evil or illness. It is just the muting, almost without exception, unconsciously, of the well-being that would be yours otherwise. And so that's an important premise to begin with, because when you understand that we are talking about the art of allowing, it is necessary that you understand what it is you are allowing. The art of allowing means allowing the well-being that is natural unto you. Sometimes people think that when we are talking about the art of allowing, that we mean the art of tolerating, that we mean the art of looking out into the world, finding horrible things by your standards, and then by saying, well, it's a horrible thing, but I'm going to let it slide. And that is not what allowing is at all. Allowing is becoming a vibrational match to the energy of your source, so that you once and for all, moment by moment, day by day, allow the fullness of the well-being that you so much want and deserve. Nothing is more important than that you feel good. In fact, we do not know of any desire that any of you have ever held that has been for any other reason that you believe in the achieving of it, you would feel good or that you would feel better. And so it is a wonderful thing that we are all selfishly motivated. And what that means is we can tell when we are allowing that which is best for us. When all beings are selfishly motivated and therefore are reaching for that which makes them feel best in the moment, it is not possible for your environment to do other than thrive. In fact, we have never known anyone, and we have known everyone. We have never known anyone who was in vibrational alignment with who they really are, that was then in a position that they sought to do harm to any other. That only ever comes from a disconnection, and usually a rather severe disconnection from one's own source. And so, worry not. A world of allowers is a wonderful world to experience. And whether anybody else ever figures it out or not, your world of allowing will be a wonderful world to experience. Because when you get in sync with the well-being that is natural to you, you thrive. You're ready to begin? You are ready to begin. Begin here. 1. Yes. Almost all the way to the back. And then here, if you'll stand.
Can you help me with what we were discussing earlier in understanding the question about God? When you said God is the big power and as us as well. I can't conceptualize that.
Well, the most common misunderstanding that physical humans have about this subject of God is that they keep wanting to accept that they are here in their human form as inferior beings in some way, trying to catch up to something that is more superior. In other words, it's the basic premise that is flawed. What is really happening is that you, as you come forth into this physical time-space realities, are perfect extensions of that which is God. And so It isn't that you're here trying to learn something so that you can be more. It is that you are all of that here wanting to express it here. That's why we begin by talking about allowing in the way we do. That what allowing really is allowing the fullness, the allness, the wholeness, the godness that is me through me in whatever venue that I'm focused in any point in time. And so when you begin to accept that you are an extension of all of that, and when you individually begin to pay attention to how much of that you are allowing to flow or how much of that you are not allowing to flow, in other words, how eager do I feel? How passionate do I feel? How stable do I feel? Am I in a place of clarity or confusion? Clarity meaning open and allowing that, confusion meaning sort of pinched it off temporarily. This source is a fluid, moving source that is available in all times, in all things. And you can allow as much of it or disallow as much of it, but it is always there for your receiving. It is always being offered to you. Physical man has conjured an image of God, and it is logical that he would conjure an image of God that is very much like he is, but it is a very limited view. See, and so the way that you must view God is by getting connected and from your broader eyes seeing it. But as we talked earlier, what you see with your eyes, what you hear with your ears, or smell with your nose, or taste with your tongue, or feel with your fingertips, these are all vibrational interpretations that are about this time-space reality. And so you say, well, I want to use these time-space reality sensors, and I want to sense that which is God. And we say, well, look around, sniff around, because there is evidence of it everywhere. But where you're really going to find this God is through your emotions. In other words, it is that which you feel. And so when you feel appreciation, that is you vibrating with that which you call God. When you feel love, we like the vibration of appreciation, or the word of appreciation even better than the word love, because when you are using the word appreciation, you are usually in a closer vibrational harmony with that which is God than when you are using the word love, because love is sometimes a lackful vibration. But feel it. Begin to ask for the feeling of it, and then recognize that it goes everywhere you go. You cannot get away from it. You cannot vibrate out of the range of that which you are calling God. You can pick a frequency that hinders it or causes static, but you cannot get out of range of it. And in the moment that you withdraw your attention from this time-space reality, or meditate, and stop the vibration of resistance and allow the full vibration of who you are, you recognize that and feel that, you see. Sometimes people will say to us, Abraham, I've sort of lost my stability about what I thought was God when I started listening to you, because you speak of it so differently. Or they will say, we don't hear you talk about God. And we say, actually, we don't talk about anything else. You are extensions of that source. Sometimes people will say, well, I want to talk about the science of deliberate creation, but the people in my church or the people in my town or the people in my circle aren't ready to hear it in the weird off-the-wall way that Abraham is expressing it. In other words, this is a little too weird for all of us, and so we're just going to talk about it in our generic terms. And we say, if you leave out the connection of source, then you've left out the only thing that really matters, because that is your guidance system. In other words, your connection to source is what everything is about here in your physical existence. You could not exist if it were not for source. People say, well, I'm dead or alive, so I'm physical or non-physical. And we say, you are always non-physical, and sometimes that non-physical is focused here in the physical. But you are so much more than you see or know through your physical eyes. And so when we say that you are all extensions of God, you are all part of that which you call God, it is your hang-up with yourself that makes you then feel a diminishment of God. In other words, sometimes that's what's happened. People think, well, I thought God was better than the sum of all of us. The other thing that is a misunderstanding is that physical beings often think that whatever God is and wherever God is a sort of finished state of perfection. And that is the biggest misunderstanding, because it is an expanding, ever-expanding, eternally growing, eternally expanding being. And all of you are adding to that expansion, you see.
That's brought great clarity to me. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Can you talk about dreams and precognitive dreams and also deja vu and how that
Pick one.
Works. Dreams.
What you think and what you feel and what manifests is always a vibrational match. What happens in your dream state is a vibrational match too. So your dreams are sort of advanced announcements of what your vibrational offering is about. Jerry awakened from a dream not too long ago, and he said to Esther as they were chatting about it over breakfast, it had just occurred to him in a stronger way than ever before that he is the creator of his dream. He said, if someone is rude to me in my dream, I have given that person that personality and I have put those rude words in their mouth. If someone is loving me in my dream, I've written those lines for them. In other words, it is from my expectation that I have created that. And so your dreamscape is a very wonderful thing. You see, sometimes as you're moving through your day-to-day experience, you're offering your thoughts all over the place, you're offering your vibration all over the place, and before you begin to practice being a little bit more deliberate about what you think, most of you are offering without realizing. In other words, you're thinking about what's on television, or you're thinking about what people are wanting to talk about around you, and you're adding to it. It would be sort of like going to a buffet and just eating anything. Somebody said, well, what would you like? And you say, I don't care, just put anything on, just fill the plate up. And so you just walk with your plate and they just slap things on and then you go over there and eat it, you see. And you don't do that with your food, and we don't encourage that you do that with your thoughts. That you think of it as a thought buffet while you choose those things to think about that you know would please you. And so what we notice as we see our physical friends moving through their time-space reality is that often they are thinking thoughts not by deliberate intent, and then they are living the manifestation of them later. But once the manifestation occurs, it's harder for you to manifest something and then stand in the manifestation of trouble and change your thought than it would be if you had a dream about it and understood that the dream was letting you know what the content of your normal day-to-day vibration is about. If we awakened from a dream that pleased us, we would say, I'm doing it just right. I'm going to keep thinking about this subject in the way I have, because if this dream is a precursor to what's going to manifest, I'm going to be very happy. But if we had a dream that was uncomfortable, we would stop and say, I have written this dream. I know not necessarily why I've done it, but what would I prefer instead? And we would use our virtual reality to begin to conjure a dreamscape on purpose until it began to reflect in our dreamscape. When you talk about precognitive dreams, that's really what it is about. In other words, everything that you will live is something that you have imagined rather significantly, or it could not be. That's why we're encouraging you not to frighten your children about things, because as you make their fears very vivid and very real, you set them up for bad dreams at least, you see. And so a precognitive dream, a dream that you dream it and then it happens, what that is about is it was already set into motion by the thoughts that you've been offering, and you had the dream as an indicator of what was on the way. Deja vu is, here's the best explanation of deja vu that we could ever give. As you are offering your thoughts are coalescing. In other words, every thought that has ever been thought still exists. And as you are moving through your day-to-day experience, and you are having an experience where you are deciphering contrast, and out of that contrast a desire is born, and then another desire is born. They shoot out of you like rockets. Source energy is aware of all of these things that you are wanting and is actually fashioning them, setting them together, putting them together, organizing circumstances and events. Law of attraction is really the manager of all of that. Sometimes you get sort of an advanced view of some of these culminations that are over there, so that then as you walk through space and time toward them, when you step into them, you recognize them. That's what that is about. It's a wonderful thing when you begin to realize that there is no separation between thought and what you are living. And as you begin to take pleasure from guiding your thought, there is so much more pleasure to be had from living your experiences. We would like all of your experiences to be deja vu. I knew that was coming. 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 I fantasized that. I imagined that. I felt this. I saw his face. I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. As you walk into glorious experience after glorious experience, you really intended that, you see. Yes, indeed.